Hey, Thomas, that looks a little bit weird. Do you want to try resharing that?
Yeah.
That sounded like Mr. Dudley there.
Been lurking in the darkness, making
Oh,
sure
okay.
Thomas has it under control.
Okay.
I'm sneaky.
There you go.
I don't know why I want to call it sneaky. There we go, Thomas. That looks.
Thanks, Jason and Thomas.
Have a good holiday, everybody.
Thank you. You too.
You too. We're ready, Nancy, when you are.
Good afternoon. This is the Glendale Fire Committee meeting for November 23rd. We have an agenda. Number 1 on the agenda is to establish a quorum. And I see members Howeiler and Bay Smith here, so we have a quorum. Our first action after that is to ratify the minutes of the October 9 meeting. Mr. Bay Smith, Mr. Howeiler, you received copies of the minutes. They have not changed since you received them. Do you have any comments on them, any changes? Other than that, if not, could I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Great. Let's move on to old business. Chief and Mr. Mayor on this one. We had an item to discuss the EMS service provider. Since we have a change with Springdale no longer fitting into the plan. So Mr. Mayor or Chief, who would ever like to give us an update on that? Actually,
Okay, I'll start it out.
yeah, okay.
And Chief can join in or fill in with whatever I leave out. But I think everyone has seen the, at least I sent to everyone notes of my conversation, a summary of my conversation with Mayor Webster of Springdale. As you know, Springdale has been providing our EMS services. They came to us a couple of months ago and said, we've been providing these services at no cost to the village and getting compensated from insurance payments for our EMS runs. And now we would like Glendale to start contributing to this, directly to our compensation. And we would, they were throwing around some pretty big numbers. So we took in their presentation and discussion and said, well, we're going to have to think about that. And the chief, we asked the chief what are options, and he identified a couple of them. And he went to Sharonville, and they said, yes, they would continue, they would provide EMS services to the village at no charge. So we said that that's what we've been paying so far, and we think that would be a good thing. I contact Sharonville has now had a council meeting at which they agreed to take up this service. And in fact, I'm told from the discussion that it was a fairly enthusiastic decision on their part, because they will get additional money from insurance payments, and they will not, their additional costs are going to be nominal. So it's worked out well for us. Great work to the chief. And we're looking, we don't know exactly when the transition will be. I think my personal target would be January 1st, just to make it a clean break with the new year. But that will be up to Chief Hardwick and the Sharonville chief. Actually, Springdale took this very well. I spoke with their mayor, and he said, he understood fully, and we should just let him and his chief know when we wanted to do the transition. So we're moving forward with it. Chief, did I leave anything out?
No, I think that you've got it pretty well covered. We're meeting next week to finalize the operational side of the EMS service. I don't anticipate any hindrance to any of our operations. Again, Springdale's provided a good quality service, and I fully believe it's Sharonville is going to offer every bit as equal to what Springdale is doing. So it's exciting for us. Sharonville's the primary fire station that will be coming into Glendale is right there on Chester Road on Chester and Kemper. So again, we're not out anything really different than what we had before. So very pleased to bring this forward, and very happy to keep our budget where it was previously.
Mr. Mayor, does this require any action by council?
I believe it will, and so I would like to have a recommendation from the committee to council to contract, authorizing, I guess, the the administrator to contract with Sharonville for providing EMS services. And there'll be a resolution or motion on the ordinance on the agenda to that effect.
Do we need a motion here, or can we recommend? Well, let's have
I
some
think
discussion.
the motion would be to recommend to
Yeah.
council.
Alan?
Hey, Nance,
Yeah,
I'll move that the committee recommend to council to agree to the terms of the, how would you say that, Don? The
agreement with Sharonville.
How about just saying authorizing the mayor and or the administrator to contract with Sharonville to provide Glendale with
EMS or,
EMS services.
okay, that's my motion, Nance.
Great. Any second?
I'll second it.
Excellent. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye. Excellent.
Thank you.
That moves us quickly to the second part of the old business, and it's related, and that's the need for a forward look for EMS service in Glendale. And it might be an old-fashioned cost-benefit analysis, but the mayor and the chief are making this seem rather seamless, when in fact there was a little bit of work involved in this by the chief. It didn't go straight as an arrow to begin with. In fact, I believe we went to, Chief, you may want to talk about this, Forest Park. We originally talked to Forest Park, and that didn't work out for a reason or two. And maybe you'd like to talk about this in relationship to where we are and where we might need to be 4 or 5 years down the road. Is this where we start to think about seriously whether we have our own EMS service in this village? And it's not something obviously we will solve today at this meeting. I just wanted to bring it up so that we can begin to think about how we go forward on this. Chief, do you want to talk a little bit
Sure,
about this?
Well, to go back to the Forest Park situation, we, one of the other communities that I contacted kind of to get information as to whether or not they would be able to provide that service, the EMS service here for us in Glendale. Forest Park's administration was on board to do that. They went through the city administration as well, who were supportive of it. The roadblock became the union representation in Forest Park Fire Department, and adding additional service to their service time for their people out on the streets was really where it seemed to take the biggest stumbling point. So they decided to step back from it. They're instituting some other internal projects at this time, which they felt were going to continue to add to their workload for their people on the street. So they were really going to step back for a while. That's how the Forest Park really came and went.
Thank you.
Sharonville, on the other hand, was one that the chief I know personally. We were both in a executive leadership class together here in Ohio. So we've had a relationship before. In the past, we've been able to benefit from some of the equipment that they have in Sharonville. We use them for testing our air packs and a few other things that we can do with Sharonville that we've been doing. Again, we have very little problems getting other departments to work with us. So that's how we ended up in Sharonville. And in all fairness, we did talk to Woodlawn, and Woodlawn was also willing to take us on. And then just weighing things out and where we were, we felt that Sharonville, being a larger department, actually it's the largest of the three. In their mind, that they make over 3,000 EMS runs a year anyway. So we're averaging 166 per year, and they didn't feel like that was even a blip on their radar. So they didn't see a big impact for us, causing them any difficulties. As far as down the road, I think that it's kind of as we've thought about it in the past and how we could ever get to running our EMS service here. And it's going to be a factor of how we can do it the most efficiently. If we look at doing a two-tier program, BLS service here in Glendale, and then support that with an ALS service somewhere outside of Glendale, be it Sharonville or whomever, that may be the path that we want to search a little more. I think that's entirely reasonable. We've got a good staff of people now. We've been pushing our people to get their EMT certification, which is what's needed for first line basic life support. And I think that's somewhere where we should investigate further, whether we create some sort of a task force of look at it from an operational level as well as a financial level. I'd like to get input from other people and see where we can go with that. I think it's a time to take a look at it.
Yeah, I think that we have the grounding of seeing Springdale coming to us with a fairly significant request for funding if we wanted to continue. Then we have Forest Park with the issue of the union. And we're happy with where we are and where you got us with Sharonville. And Chief, is this 4 or 5 years, this agreement that we have?
The agreement is a 1-year agreement. It can be renewed annually. I would have to get I don't have the document in front of me. But we should, the plan is for the chiefs, myself and Chief Mousa from Springdale, to get together annually to review things, see how things are going, make sure everybody's still okay, and to continue to move forward. No other action than that.
Okay.
Okay, one other thing, Chief. Next time you talk to your counterpart in Sharonville, could you get a copy of the contract that they will be proposing to us so we can have a look at it? We've already got one from somebody else, but we really want to have the actual contract that we'll be using with Sharonville.
Yes, yeah, I have that. I have a copy of what I gave them originally. So it's the same identical contract to Forest Park.
I kind of figured that, but I don't know. Did you give it to me in PDF form, or is it something I can edit?
I don't know. I'll check and send it. I'll just resend it to you.
We just need the contract to be able to present it to council on December 7th.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. But we'll keep this, Chief, if we could, and members of the committee, if we could keep this item sort of on the back burner of the committee work. It seems to me there's something we ought to pick around a little bit at and at least look for some sort of a plan for 4 or 5 years out. And it may be that we do nothing more than what we're doing now, but at least we could study it a little bit more.
If we could look at a couple of years of what Sharonville's result is as far as billing and how they're getting the money returned to them.
Yeah, good point.
Give us a better idea too as to
Yeah.
what we can expect.
Good point. Couple of years' experience. That's good. Okay. Can we move on to the last piece of old business, which is an update on the firehouse improvements? Mr. Bogrand, if you would be so kind.
Sure. So for the members of the fire committee, so what we have is through the generous donation of residents, we're making improvements to the firehouse to better house our volunteers. So the 3 phases of this project involve the refurbishing of the training room to make it with enhanced audiovisual capability. That project is done. The other phase is to change the facade and the opening to the current garage door area on the east side of the building. That's the other phase. That's halfway completed. We ran into some problems on Friday as we were about to remove the concrete apron that's right in front of the garage door. It's about 4-foot extension out from the garage doors onto the driveway area of the firehouse there. And as we're removing that to pour a new section, we realized that we broke through a basement that is in that portion of the firehouse. That was kind of a surprise to all of us, especially the contractors with their jackhammers when the thing almost went through it. So we're addressing that right now. That area there's a couple options in that the concrete folks are looking at. One is replacing the entire apron, which is kind of a major piece of work. The other one is to grind out 2 to 3 inches of the surface area itself and re-pour a new apron in that area, which would give us a nice finish and would basically clean out that whole area. I'm waiting to get some updates from our contractors on that. The concrete guys are still working through some options in that, but as soon as I get something on that, I'll shoot that out to the fire committee here, but also to the subcommittee that's working this. Another phase is the addition of a kitchen down in the Old Bay area. And that project is being led by Adam and the volunteers. Adam, do you want to provide a quick update on that one for us?
Yeah, so right now, our in-house person we've been using, Shad Ellis, has been under quarantine with COVID. So we're kind of on delay with that right now. He should be back on Wednesday. We're hoping to get started probably after Thanksgiving. We would have started earlier besides him being busy, but when the contractors were here, they were using the inside for storage. So we're still working on progress right now. So we're still good.
And to mention that all this work is not costing the village anything. That's all funded by donations from residents of Glendale. Very generous.
Do we have even a sense of the cost to make these repairs to the holes in the basement ceiling here?
That'll all be incorporated in the original bid, unless there's something drastic that comes back and say, hey, we need some help with some contingency fund. I see it all being covered within the original firm bid that they provided.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any questions on this? Are we ready to move on to the budget? Ready to move on to the budget. You have a copy of the working budget, and I would like us, if we could go through this, with the exception of focusing on salary and wages, the top line, at least any the specifics of it. I don't want us to get into the very specifics of personnel compensation, which we will discuss on an executive session in following this, but we can talk about the budget. And if you will look at it, the correct budget, what I sent out.
Nancy,
Yes,
Is the 2020 column actual, is that 9 months, 10 months?
Is that, Chief, is that till October?
It's through the end of October. I think that was put out on November the 6th.
Okay. Okay. Um,
So it's
And-
10 months?
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yes, okay. It is an overall 7.5 increase proposed on this working budget, 7.5%. Chief, do you want to go down through this? Is it the pleasure of the committee we do this sort of a line by line?
Yeah, I can go through with,
Okay.
probably the easiest way for me to explain how I've come up with the numbers is if you start on line 2201, parking fees, well, actually it's a blank line, but really focusing from that point down all the way through 2731. That part of the budget has been pretty standard, what we use every year. I've reflected a 2%, exact 2% increase on that total from, like I said, from, actually for me, it starts at registration fees, 2203, all the way down through the 2521 equipment line. And that equipment line is broke out just below that. That's how we came up with the 27,500. But that the total was a 2% increase over the 2020 budget.
Okay.
So the line that is broke out separately under equipment, those are items that we formerly would have taken out of either VPGI or capital items. That's now based on what we did in 2020. I actually reduced that down $1,000 for the 21 budget from 28.5 to 27.5. And that number is already included in that budget line item.
Chief, can I ask, skipping to line 2521, the equipment section, on turnout gear, you're requesting another 16,000 in the budget. What does that represent? How many sets of turnout gear does that represent?
That's 7 sets of turnout gear. So we've been trying to go through a 7-year cycle of replacing 7 sets of gear every 7 year, or every year for 7 years, which keeps us on a rotation based on replacement recommendation by the NFPA.
Okay. And can I ask, I'm bouncing you back a bit here. There was a large, you're requesting a fairly large jump in cleaning and sanitation, 2422. What's that all about?
Mainly, we've come to find out that with having a larger building, we've got a few more cleaning items needed. We've added 2 more bathrooms, another bunk room. We just used more. It's like trash cans. Well, now we have
Okay.
trash can liners. It's just really having more space, and what we do now is just more activity that the cleaning supplies, as well as just general maintenance here is it's cleaning floors, it's cleaning windows. We have 72 windows in the bay alone. 72? 72.
I think that's just the doors.
So yeah, it takes a little more than what it used to from the old building.
Okay.
I was wondering if some of the increased cost was due to need for more cleaning due to COVID.
Most of our COVID stuff we've been getting at no cost from the county or from Matthew 25. They both have been wonderful in providing us with the supplies we've needed so far.
Okay, thank you.
Any comments from anybody else? Mr. Baysmith or Mr. Howeiler?
I don't have a comment. Nancy, you asked the question regarding the turnout gear. I am curious, Chief, as to very frequently at the council meetings, we swear in new volunteers. Approximately what is the turnover of those volunteers? Do we keep half of them for a period of time, or I don't know what that turnover is?
We probably keep half of them for 2 years. We don't purchase new gear for the people that we bring in. They will typically get the stuff that is older, closer to retirement time, and to make sure that they are in a place that they're going to stay for a while. And that just rotates through. So we have, I mean, obviously the majority of our people have been here in 3 years or less. What we have been able to do is take people that have been here. I mean, if you want to pick out Robbie Vischer, for example, who has been here since he came on with me in November of 2006. So that's unusual for 14 years, but you know, there's some circumstances there as to why he's been here that long. So we have Jeff Clyde, District Chief Clyde, who's been here 1 month less than that. So you get, I would say if we brought in 5 people, 1 of those will keep for 5 years, 2 of them will keep for 3 years, and the other 2 less than 2 years.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Alan, any thoughts?
No, I'm just, you know, when do we have to ratify our budgets?
Well, actually, our role today is to get comfortable with the budget enough to send it to the Finance Committee.
Okay. We do this every year, and you know, the Finance Committee takes a look at you know, because it's a committee of the whole, so we're all going to be there.
Sure.
And I like to see it a little closer to the end, you know. And I'll ask the Chief, is there anything on this budget sheet that you'd expect the last 2 months of the year, which number 10 is more than halfway over, or number 11? So next month and, you know, next 6 weeks, it's going to be an outstanding debt or a bill that we have to pay that changes the actual column in a significant manner?
Probably the only big item we will have the rest of the year is just in our payroll. We'll have 1 more firefighters payroll, which we usually run about $4,800 for a month.
Mm-hmm.
So we have one more pay coming out of that. I get paid twice in that period of time. I think everything else is already encumbered. So a newer expenditure report would reflect closer numbers than what that is. I have one in my hand that puts us, it's much closer than where we are now. I'm showing us as having either already spent or encumbered basically 92% of our budget.
Okay.
One other question, Chief, please, and that is on the line 2205 for training. Is that training for yourself and staff, or is it training for the volunteers?
Yeah, that's training for everything. So right now I'm at I've got 11,000. Again, I'm looking at a sheet that's newer than what you have, but I'm at 11,000 and change. I have showing $557 remaining in training for the year. And I'm at 95.5% of that budget.
And that is, what kind of training is that, please?
Everything from like our classes at Scarlet Oaks, the part that we still have to pay administrative fees. this year we took on the role of, it's called blue card training. It's a fire incident management system that recognizes our on-scene officers, gives them a certification level. That was a big chunk of what we've done. So we've got about $6,000 invested in that for over the course of the year.
Okay, thank you.
Chief,
All right.
I've got a
We've
question.
also had-
As a part, I'm sorry, Mayor, you want? Okay, well, the chief, as a part of this discussion, we announced it at the most recent meeting, but I want to make sure that everyone knows we had originally, a part of the first discussions included talk of a new fire truck, and that $700,000 earmarked for that has been moved out of the request for 2021. Thank you, sir. However, aren't you faced with some expense as required to replace the tires on the existing truck? And does that appear anywhere here?
You'll see that at the 2020 budget. So we've already completed that. Actually, I just had it finished today.
Fantastic. That's great. Way to go. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, if so, Mr. Mayor, did you have a question before we move to executive session?
Well, I'm just wondering if you can get a consensus from your committee about whether people are comfortable sending this budget, except for the employment, lines, to the finance committee.
Good question, gentlemen. I mean, it is essentially a 2% increase.
Well, I guess one other thing, I'm sorry, is there's an item pickup truck and equipment in the capital budget. And it hasn't been discussed yet. It's a big item. Chief, do we really need that for next year is my question.
We need it sometime. If we're going to put it off a year, I'm okay with waiting one more year, but as quick as we can, we would appreciate it.
I hear you, Chief. We do this 1 year at a time. So I just want to know that, I just want the committee to know what's in the budget that they are recommending to the finance committee. So that the pickup truck is not in it.
No, it's not in there now. It was a separate item.
So
Okay.
that's a very good point. So, Mr. Baysmith, I'm
Nancy,
sorry. Yes.
Before we move on, let me pursue a little further than item 2521, just from the standpoint of looking at the heading, which is equipment. $27,000 worth of equipment. What is that equipment? Is it firefighting equipment or radios or no? Basically,
If you look down underneath that, you'll see a separate line under where it says equipment, and then it will say it's got turnout gear, helmets, communications equipment, and hose replacement. Those 4 items have always been, or previously were done under capital or VPGI. I'm not sure which one it was. But this year in 2020, that budget item got moved to the general fund, because those were general funds. They weren't capitalized items. So that's reflective of that 27.5.
all right, and that previously the turnout gear was included in capital, or was it? Has it always been in the general fund?
If I can, yes, those items were typically capital items, but last year it was decided that items like that that are consumable effectively, that are replaced on a frequent basis, as opposed to capital items which are replaced on a longer term basis, would be transferred into the general fund for those departments, as opposed to being used as capital expenses.
Okay.
Hey, Chief, I got one question also, Nancy. On the last sheet of your paper, where you've got the breakdown on the 25-21 line, that top line, is that the total budget line? I printed it horizontally, not vertically. Let me get to why I'm going to this point. 2020 budget was 238,741.
Yes.
You
Yes.
follow that?
Yes,
Okay, and if I'm looking at the 194,175, and you're saying there's not a whole lot of extra money coming in, you're looking at about what, another 19,000 onto that price gets us up to 215 approximately. Do you? I guess my question is, that is going to be about 13,000 under last year's budget. You follow me, Chief? Is that correct?
Yeah, we'll be, I don't have that, I'm showing us as right now our actual, that center line, again, based on the latest expenditure report that I have, I'm sitting at 210,309 as of the 18th of November. So
I don't see that. I don't see that figure. I got 194,175.
right.
that was based on the end of October. So
Yeah, so I'm putting November, December in there, divided that by 10, put November, December in. Okay. That's a place we need to clean up and see. If we're under budget this year, I can understand a couple percent increase over the budget, but I'm looking at I'm looking at a $20,000 increase, approximately 18,000 increase.
on the items,
10%.
the items on that, so the items on from the 2203 from registration fees all the way through the 2521. For 2020, we were budgeted $119,001. For the 2021 budget, I'm at $121,381. That reflects, that's $2,380 increase.
Okay.
2,380. That's 2%
right,
exactly.
Let me ask you something here, and I want to ask Mike Bessel this if he's listening. The way this is laid out, I'm getting confused over last year's budget and this year's actual. Is there a way we can put a percentage columns up and down on this so that we can actually, without seeing numbers so much, you could see what percentage increase or decrease we are at? And I've got the equipment budget on one sheet says 28.5, and on the other sheet, the same line item says 29.5
29.5.
for the same
I'm
budget.
assuming that was just a typo or something and that needs to be corrected before the final budget goes to
Well, and that's why that's what I'm
Finance
thinking.
Committee.
Well, and also on line 25.
He's froze.
I can't hear you, Alan.
Looks like he froze.
Before we,
wait, there you
Alan,
go.
we couldn't hear what you were saying
Yeah,
before.
come back, Alan. Oh, no.
committee, but I'm and we can work that out. So I would like to
Oh, no.
send this to the Finance Committee.
We heard
If
part
you
of
can
that.
correct as correctable.
Ah, okay, all right.
If you'll go over it real tight with the chief, and I'm
Right.
okay with it. We can get it over there and at least get get it started.
Mr. Mason, how do you
I
feel?
agree, it's a good start, Alan, and we can fine tune it as needed.
Excellent.
Okay,
Mr. Baysmith, you concur?
Yes.
Okay. With that, I'm wondering if I could have a motion to move to executive session to consider certain fire department personnel compensation. I would, in that executive session, it would be, of course, the committee members, and I'm inviting also Mr. Bogrand, Mr. Cordes, Mr. Lumsden, the mayor, and Mr. Bessel. So could I have a motion, please, to move to executive session?
so moved.
And second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we will leave you now and be back in a flash or so.
A flash may be putting it too strongly, so.
True enough, but okay.
Or
so we-
Nancy, Nancy, I thought maybe our guests could present their material rather than sit through all this. Anyways,
I think that would be a good idea.
To have the public comment?
yeah, because that way our guest doesn't have to sit through the whole thing, but I think we lost our chairperson.
She can come back.
She's maybe gone on to executive.
Give me 1 second.
Just a suggestion.
It's a good one.
Just
Am I on?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we have to wait. We have to wait for the committee person to come back. Committee chair. And I guess Mike Bessel also. Well, she'll never invite me again.
All right, we're coming back in.
David, did you get to Bessel?
Yes.
Thanks.
Does that go red? Green means no. Wow.
Oh, sorry about that. All right. So.
Sorry, Nancy.
So we have this request to move the public comment period forward. We have, and that request is accepted. We have one member of the community, Mr. Parrish. You are welcome, and you have 5 minutes.
And Mr. Parrish, you'll need to unmute before you can begin your comments.
I'm unmuted. Just had one question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, for the fire department, due to the many invasive water invasions that residents are experiencing, and that the water department, the fire department uses as a common courtesy to pump basements and address those issues, how are those hours billed? That's the question I wanted to ask, because it is a continued practice that's been going on for years, and it seems to be increasing. And I know that the local paper reported in one single day that you guys addressed over 20 residents. But I'm just wondering, how are those hours being billed to the personnel or to the village? So I guess we're under the same gag order of no response to guests, even at committee levels. But because this is a public broadcast, I thought I'd put that on for the record, especially due to the fact that the water problems that we are experiencing and having more man hours given out to the fire department and addressing as a courtesy to these residents that have invasion of water due to our system that we operate on, which is not capable of handling the amount of water. I'm just wondering, how does that affect the budget with so many hours more? I think I'm well within my 5 minutes. I'll let you go into executive session. I just wanted to put that down for the record on an ongoing thing that's going on with the village. Thank you for your time.
I have a question here, Mr. Parrish. If we answer your question, will you not raise it again as a precedent in future meetings?
No, I don't want you to break precedents. We won't have any dialogue, Mayor, especially from you. You set this in motion that you wouldn't respond. So you can in executive session discuss it, but not with me. Thank you.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second to move to executive session. Can we do that now? Any problems with that? Anybody? No. Okay. See you on executive session.
I made it.
You beat Nancy, Alan. That's impressive.
You were on mute, Mayor.
David, do we need to do anything to make this a real meeting, or is it now a real meeting? You're muted. You're muted.
This is a meeting.
Just the motion to adjourn from executive session.
Wait for our chairperson.
Yes, that too.
There she is. I move we go out of executive session.
I'll second that.
So moved.
And we are at 5:26.
Thank you. I'll be right back.
What the heck?
Council member went behind that tree there. I'm not sure what he's doing.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in the village square.
Oh, okay. We have one last point on the agenda then, and that's to discuss whether we recommend this budget to be taken to the Finance Committee for further discussion. And as soon as Mr. Howeiler gets back, we can vote on that, or at least ask for a motion for that.
Alan, are you there?
Hey, Chief, can I ask a question while we're in the interim here?
Yeah, go ahead.
How many of those fire departments on the list for Hamilton County have Class 2 ISO rating? Roughly?
I'll check and get back to you. How's that?
Okay, all right, that's fine. So after discussion of all the matters concerning the budget, significantly the salary and wages section, do we have a level of comfort within the committee to move forward to take this working budget to finance? And if we do, could I have a motion to do so?
So moved.
I'll second. That's to take it to the Finance Committee.
Great. All right. Then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that takes us to we have taken care of public comments. So now we're to adjournment unless there is any other business to conduct.
I have one thing for you.
Yes.
We need to find out from, I'm not sure whether it's police or whatever, but we need to look at taking two parking spots on Sharon Road directly across from the bays of the fire trucks. We've got another problem with that. There's a truck and trailer that parks there on fairly often. The people from Christchurch, they've even commented to us about, they were complaining about the truck parked there, and it's not our truck. But I would look at getting that posted as a no parking fire lane. Basically, it's within 20 feet of the corner. I know parking is a premium there, but it does create a bit of a hazard for people that are coming off of Forest, or it's really not Forest, I guess. Harbor, I guess it's Harbor Place.
Harbor, yeah. It's creates a blind spots for sure.
Yeah, people are getting out. I've seen a couple of close calls right there because visibility is so bad.
Is it the one, is it in front of the Veterans Memorial?
Yeah, further west, right? It's right at the corner.
Yeah, right at the end. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Is that truck related to the construction on the water main or anything?
No, that's the person that rents, I believe it's in the second house down from the fire station on the same side as the firehouse.
Oh, okay. Well, we have an ordinance now about vehicles being parked, for excessive periods of time.
72 hours.
But it
Right.
moves,
Yeah,
it
it moves every day.
it moves every day.
He's using it, yeah.
Moves every day and it's attached to the vehicle, so it's
It's a
not. in
white
violation.
truck, white truck. that
We
guy.
had a similar problem in front of the Friendly Stop and we prohibited truck parking there. It did take legislation from council, but it's certainly something that the two chiefs can work on, see if that's needed again.
Yeah, even if from the side of, on a fire lane designation, I don't think you're allowed to park across the street from the bays of a firehouse. So I'll be glad to take it to Chief Foreman or whatever, just a comment.
Do it.
I think you should. I don't
Yeah.
see this being a committee matter, but it certainly would be administrative between the chiefs and potentially legislation maybe needed, but we can find out.
Has
Okay.
anyone reached out to the owner to see if he's amenable to just moving that truck someplace else?
I have not seen him. The truck's there and then it's gone for a day or two. And I know it's sitting there now. It's been there for 5 or 6 days in the same spot.
Mm,
Now,
Yeah, I
that would be a
noticed that.
violation.
yeah,
Okay, I'll pass it on to the police then. And
yeah,
see what we
I'm
can do.
sure, yeah, Chief Foreman would handle that.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Up for me.
Move to adjourn.
Not, move to adjourn? All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very
Madam
much.
Chairman.
Good
meeting. Thank you,
Nancy.
Thank you.
Thank you, ICRC.
Bye, guys.
Yes, thank you, ICRC.